This is your Utica Comets pregame show with Eyewitness News Sports Director David Edelstein. Utica Comets face-off.
The Utica Comets play the Rochester Americans for the 8th time this season. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Comets Face-Off. I'm David Edelstein. The Comets are still in the midst of their busiest stretch of the year. It's 10 games now in 17 days, including tonight. And it's the Americans who they're playing tonight, then 6 games in a row against the Syracuse Crunch. Utica played Syracuse on Wednesday for the 9th time this season. The Comets were coming off a 7-1 loss to Syracuse heading into Wednesday's game. Head coach Trent Cole had said this week that his team really needed to bring a better effort to its next game. And Wednesday was that next game. Sven Berchi, though, who scored the only goal for Utica on that Sunday game, did not play in that game on Wednesday. Scoreless in period 1 and period 3. Jake Kiley had started the game but was injured and taken out. And then Joel Hofer was replaced. And after that goal in period 3, Hofer has the 1-0 lead with the Comets. And it was off Jonah Gadjevic, his 13th of the year. But later in the third period, Syracuse on the attack. Less than 3 minutes left in regulation, and the Crunch got that puck in after a rebound off of Hofer's pad. So now it's tied, recipe for overtime until a quick play 3 minutes into OT. No one else but Gadjevic crashing the net from McKenzie to Fote to Gadjevic. 3 forwards on the ice. Head coach Trent Cole said it was kind of an experiment he was trying, and it worked out. We've seen it so many times this year with Gadjevic and his team now leading 14th goal of the season. That's one more than he had all of last year in less than half the games. And they said that it was a much better effort. And we're looking at the standings now by points percentage because of the win and because of the variation in games played by teams due to COVID-19 protocols. Cole made a point this week to say that, quote, games are precious this year. And Cole says that the Comets will play any game that they can, regardless of their preparation level and regardless of the outcome, actually. He says the goal is to develop players during game experience. The American Hockey League announced yesterday that it will not be having a traditional Calder Cup playoffs this year, but that's not much of a surprise, as little about this season has been traditional. The North Division announced that it's going to award a trophy to the top team in the North Division by points percentage. And currently, Utica is 4th of 7. But remember, head coach Trent Cole said many times this season that the team's record is one of his least concerns this year. Well, we've learned that there are constant changes to the team throughout the season, and each team has dealt with its own struggles throughout the year. We'll take a look at a bird's eye view of this season on average for each team. Both teams have been outscored this year. Rochester has allowed 20 more goals than it's scored. Utica has allowed 5 more. And there have been a bunch of lopsided games this year for Utica with scores like 7-1, 7-2, 6-2, and 5-1. Meanwhile, the Comets have had 5 one-goal wins this year. Rochester enters tonight on a 6-game losing streak. Rochester's power play has functioned pretty well, a solid 28%. More power play goals on fewer man advantage opportunities than Utica. But despite being out of shape after a month of postponed games earlier this month, the Comets have more wins than the Americans. Head-to-head, they've been a good matchup to watch. Here are the names that have made it all happen for Utica, too. Sam Annis, of course, has been back this month, reclaims his top spot as the team's points and assists leader, both categories that he led the entire league in last season. Jonah Gadjevic still leads the team in goals. He now has more goals than he had in all of last season in 20 less games played. Annis also now has 2 goals to his name this season, and Gadjevic leads in putting the puck on net. The Americans have players that have stayed pretty consistent. Remi Eli leads in points with 17, backed by his team-leading goals. Askari Laaksonen is helping out his teammates with 12 assists. And CJ Smith leads in points per game, but he's only played in 10 games, half as many as Eli. And at that point, it's a .81. The Americans are without John Sebastian Day, Arttu Ruotsalainen, and Stephen Fogarty, though, 3 people who have really contributed throughout the year for them. And Michael Mersch has been a bright spot for Rochester this year with 16 points and a lot of shots on goal. So we're looking forward to seeing these names in action again tonight. After the break, we'll hear from the Comets players about how they felt following Wednesday's overtime win. Stay tuned.